Mr. Smith, we're here on Capitol Hill to talk about a revised legislation on Ethiopia. Tell us about this legislation and what it does.
Well, we have a new resolution, and Mike Kaufman and other members have co-sponsored. We've just introduced it, and it's a very, very important policy promotion to ensure that human rights are respected in Ethiopia. The government now is on a very serious deterioration. People have been killed, jailed, tortured, and we're saying enough is enough. We respect the people of Ethiopia, and they need a government that respects them. We are, in the resolution, call for the application of the new Global Magnitsky Act, which holds individual perpetrators of human rights abuse to account by making them inadmissible to the United States by way of visa issuance, and then also going after assets. We are serious. The people of Ethiopia deserve better, and this resolution is an attempt and we're going to follow it up with a hearing, and of course a floor battle, which I think will be very healthy and enlightening. A lot of people don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So this is an effort to stand in solidarity with many people who are being oppressed.
Now in September, you and your colleagues came out the same venue, and you've said, Congressman, enough is enough on Ethiopia. But since then, the country is under a state of emergency right now. What are your thoughts on the human rights conditions in the country?
They've actually gotten worse, and the state of emergency is being used as a pretext. Yeah, there are some problems. Everyone has problems. But you can't use such a issuance of a state as the cover, as a facade, to really crack down on people and to abuse them. And that's why we're saying, the government has to change course and has to do it immediately. And again, what we want to do with this legislation is bring illumination to it so people see what's going on, have a full-scale congressional debate on this. We are glad that Ethiopia is combating such things as al-Shabaab and is involved with the war on terror, but that can't be an excuse and for not doing the human rights due diligence that is required of any democracy.
Now, this legislation has bipartisan support.
Yes.
Also, things have changed. There is a new administration in town, a Republican administration. The Republican Party controls both chambers of Congress. And what can we see in terms of policy changes, if at all any, regarding Ethiopia?
Well, the hope is that, and I'm requesting this, we're going to do a letter very shortly, as soon as we know who the new Assistant Secretary of African Affairs is, although we will get it to the Secretary of State as well, to do a top-to-bottom review of our Ethiopia policy. Since 2005, and really before that, but especially since 2005, when Greg Simpkins, my Chief of Staff, and I traveled and met with President Mellis, where people were being killed in the streets, little red dots would show up on their head, of the laser right before they were shot. We met with a lot of the opposition leaders who were claiming, and they were correct, that they were being harassed, hunted down. And Mellis even told Greg Simpkins and I in that meeting that we had in Addis Ababa that President Mellis says, I could arrest these opposition leaders anytime I want. That's dictatorship.
And you met with the opposition when you were in Ethiopia. Can you describe the situation in which they moved around the city and how they functioned?
Well, as they moved around the city, and we were in cars, Greg actually went with them even further than I did because I went off to another meeting. But they were followed. It was like, this isn't what democracies do. These are not criminals. These are opposition party leaders who have their own views, and they have a right to express them.
Now, President Trump has said in his inaugural address that he's going to follow an America First policy, and as we know, the United States provides food aid as well as military aid, even though it's dwindling by the day. What kind of assistance can African leaders expect from the U.S., and what kind of partnership, and what are you doing, and your colleagues as well, to work with the administration?
Well, I think there's no doubt in my mind that under President Trump and Vice President Pence, who worked as a member of the House of Representatives, I know him very well. I don't know President Trump well yet, but I do know Mike Pence. They are humanitarians, Mike Pence especially, because I just know of his work. Our Speaker, Paul Ryan, is very much into the anti-poverty agenda, but also the trade agenda. That, you know, the best anti-poverty program ever conceived is a job, and that's what we all want, and that's what the Africans want. And you know, there's a talent-rich environment there of people that can really produce, but you know, some of the basic tools, the ability to better export, for example, access to electricity, you know, the Power Africa initiative, those things will be transformational, and all of that will continue unabated. I'm going to continue in my work on the issue of neglected tropical diseases. I'm dropping that bill very shortly. We got it out of the Foreign Affairs Committee last Congress. It never got a vote in the Energy and Commerce Committee, but I'm very optimistic this year we'll get it. To think that 1.4 billion people, disproportionately Africans, are suffering from worms and parasites that are easily dealt with, destroyed inside the gut tract, and then going after the systemic causes of those diseases, which also make other diseases more lethal and more sickening, you know, in terms of that individual. So that's a major push. We're going to continue on the malaria, you know, the PEPFAR program, the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, which has saved countless numbers of people around the globe, including and especially in Africa, and that was started by George Bush. That will continue unabated. So we're not backing off one bit as a government. And America First means that we want to create jobs here, but I think when America is prosperous, and if you look at the President Trump's schedule, he has had more meetings with international leaders. He obviously will be working hard on global diplomatic efforts.
Now, finally, on trade, you have co-sponsored AGOA, and you've worked very relentlessly to make sure that this trade deal between Africa and the United States works. And we've seen President Trump, of course, not wanting to renegotiating some of the trade deals. The TPP being an example, NAFTA is in danger in some ways under this administration. Are you worried about AGOA?
No, I'm not at all. AGOA is a great idea, but you know, it has not even lived up to its promise. And you know, I have a bill that I'm going to reintroduce about trying to get a better two-way street going on more products, not less. Because of course, under AGOA, so many of the products that have gotten assistance have been petroleum projects, and that's fine. But Africa can produce a whole lot more that could then make their way, those products, into the United States. But I think it's beneficial to the continent, subcontinent, and ourselves to grow that relationship, and I think that's where Trump will be.
Congressman Chris Smith, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.